There's so much negativity as it is in the world. Why not shine some light? Be positive, show them that there's a different way besides, violence or yelling or cussing. Like you can do things different and get the results that you want. And no, it's not always easy and it's not always glamorous at times because a lot of times the bad behaviors get all the attention and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. Doing things the right way, doing things for the right reasons. The payoff is coming, and it's at the end, and it'll be worth it once they get there.
Welcome to the UMGC podcast, Unstoppable Stories, with your host, Nathan James.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. I'm here today with Cory Underwood. He is the high school assistant principal, and he actually graduated from UMGC in 2017, Master of Education. And Cory, we're happy to have you on today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for making time out of your busy schedule, I'm sure. Vice principal.
Yes.
What do you love about what you do? What inspires you?
It's easy. It's just working with kids. That's, for some reason, it's just natural. That's the natural thing in my life. Some people are good with numbers. Some people are good with cars and things like that. I'm just good with kids. And so that's just been the natural thing for me. And so, just working through life and figuring out what works for me and how to get through to people, what my purpose is. It's just been working with kids.
Yeah, I'm sure they keep you on your toes. I'm sure. What's your day-to-day look like?
Day-to-day, get to work before I can even get to my office, probably get stopped 3 to 4 times by staff with one issue or another. Go outside for buses. All the buses roll in, the drop-off line. So all the kids are coming in. Some kids are saying hi. Some kids are upset to see me, but either way, it's okay. and then from there, honestly, we're rolling. I try to go to my office and get a to-do list done, and the to-do list for today turns into to-do list for tomorrow. But just trying to prepare myself for anything that may come up, because anything and everything does come up, from phone calls to go to a classroom for a behavior issue or whatever issue, or I know one day the power went out. So just honestly, just preparing myself for anything. So it's nonstop from the time I get to work.
Yeah. No, I'm talk about keeping you guessing. Look, now you're an educator, and
Yes.
we know you come from a family of educators.
Yes.
Right. And obviously at one point, I mean, you're, vice principal of a high school. You were in your student shoes at one point. And you struggled through high school.
Mhm.
You struggled through high school. At one point in high school, you were failing, I think, 5 classes, I think it was. So
Yeah.
you've been in you've been in a lot of your student shoes, right? What for you, right? In your journey, what turned it around for you?
Honestly, my parents. Man, I was a freshman. I didn't know y'all remembered that, but I was failing. I was failing 5 classes, and what makes it even worse is my dad was the principal at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was the last thing that he needed to see, and I just know from then on, I can't say what happened at home, but I I got straightened out, and from then on, I carried every book home every day to every class. Nothing was in my locker. But I had supportive parents. I had parents that came from 2 different backgrounds, but both were in education. My mom was an art teacher, so she was in education as well. So I came from a family of educators, obviously, but just having both of my parents and having that support. And then my brother, he was a senior at the time. So just having multiple people. My grandparents lived down the street, so they were around. I had aunts, uncles. I had everybody close to me. So I really had that village, as well as teachers and other staff, down to the building service workers who cleaned and fixed the building. Everyone was there to kind of encourage me and keep me on track.
Surrounded. Wow. So, I
Yep.
mean, yeah. I mean, so you know what it's like to struggle. You know what it's like
Absolutely.
to sort of be back into that corner. And I'm sure some of those dinner conversations around the table with your dad were very fun. But what do you say now, right? I mean, you look and you see students who, may be struggling now, right? And where you were. What do you say to them now when you see them in those shoes?
Honest, I try to be honest with them, and I let them know where I struggled and that I was kind of in the same boat, and that I had 5 Fs at one point, and I let them know that everyone's circumstances are different. Their story and my story is going to be different. How they grew up and how I grew up may be different, but I let them know that they do have people that support them. I let them know that I support them, that I have their back, and that's part of the reason why I got into this role of being an assistant principal, because I wanted to support students in a bigger way, in a larger position. But I just let them know that I'm here 100%, whatever they need, whether they're repeating a grade and they want to get back in their right grade. I just let them know, look, as long as you put forth your effort and you do your part, I got your back and I'll help you get there. So I just help them, understand that I care, that I want them to achieve their dreams, whatever it is, and I'll help them get to that point. So they know they got people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be really great for them to hear coming from, their vice principal. I was actually homeschooled, believe it or not, kindergarten through 12th grade.
Okay.
My vice principal was my mom. My
Right.
dad was my principal. But, so I'm trying to imagine. I've heard sometimes like folks can be intimidated by vice principals or principals or
Yeah,
whatnot.
absolutely.
So I'm imagining it's probably great. I mean, it's probably a good feeling for them to feel like you're coming alongside them rather than like,
Absolutely.
you don't seem
Right.
like you carry yourself as the kind of guy with a big stick that's like, you better do this or else.
No, they've had that their whole lives, and I let the kids know, and I let the parents know, I let the teachers know, I'm not here to make your life difficult. I want to come here. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I want everyone to have a good time. Just do what they need to do, and let's all go home. I'll go down the hallway. I'll joke. I'll sing. I'll dance. I'll do it. My kids know I'm crazy. They know I'll do whatever. But it's about just having fun. If you don't enjoy and love what you're doing, then you're doing something wrong. So I know that I love what I'm doing. I know I enjoy it every single day, no matter how difficult a day may be. I wake up and I know there are kids that are looking forward to seeing me when I get to work. They come to school to see me because they need to talk to me. And so, I just try to keep things light, make it light.
So obviously you're a role model at this point, right? For these kids. Why is being a positive role model for them so important?
I think I was having a conversation with one of my students today. There's so much negativity as it is in the world. There's so many things that can persuade them and influence them in a negative way. But I want to see all of them make it, whether they're at my grade, because I have ninth graders, whether they're a ninth grader or whatever. There's so much negativity in the world. Why not shine some light, be positive, show them that there's a different way besides, violence or yelling or cussing. Like, you can do things different and get the results that you want. And no, it's not always easy, and it's not always glamorous at times, because a lot of times the bad behaviors get all the attention and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's worth it, So I just want to let them know that doing things the right way, doing things for the right reasons, the payoff is at the end. It's coming, and it's at the end, and it'll be worth it once they get there.
So you started out as take us on your journey, okay? Because you started out, I think, as on your teaching journey. I mean, and then to where you are in administration. But you started out as a substitute teacher, I understand, and then from teacher and now vice principal.
Right.
I mean, if you could summarize what it was like to get to that point, I know there were ups and downs along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I started out as a long-term substitute, actually at the same middle school that I went to. And so, a lot of staff knew me because some of my teachers were still there that taught me
Oh,
and
wow.
everything. Yeah. So I started out as an 8th grade physical science teacher, and I know nothing about physical science. So I was literally just in there, just flipping through the book, like, all right, today, this is what we're doing. This vocab we're doing, this is what we're doing today. But then one of our PE teachers left. And, my initial major was more so into, PE and health and things like that. And so they moved me into that role. So I did that for 3 years. And I actually ended up, that was in Virginia. I actually ended up moving to Maryland. And when I came to Maryland, I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue in education. And so I actually started doing something else. I was I figured I would try what everyone else does: sit in my cubicle, look at numbers, and that's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
That didn't work. That didn't work. Not even. I didn't last a year.
It's not for
But
everybody, right?
no, not
Yeah.
at all. And
Yeah.
it wasn't for me. The turning point really came when some of my old students that I taught when they were in middle school, they started reaching out to me saying, "Mr. Underwood, can you come back? Can you teach us now that we're in high school? Can you?" And I said, "You know what? I said, I love working with kids, man." I said, let me go back to trying to at least get into that." So while I didn't go back to them, I had to start the process all over again, because that wasn't the original plan when I went to college to be an educator. So I had to kind of start from the ground up, and I actually was in school suspension monitor for a year. So I had to apply to do that. So I did that for a year.
That's exciting.
No, it is. It is. It is.
I mean,
but when I show up to work and I have about 20 kids already waiting for me to go
okay.
that
can
was
get
not
old.
fun.
Okay.
Yeah, but after a year, I applied to be in a program that's called the Resident Teacher Program in Prince George's County, and I got into that, and this a summer-long program where they kind of teach you, what you need to learn before you go into the classroom. And then there's a day where principals actually come and talk to you for a few minutes and say, whether or not they want you at this school. And it's kind of like an interview, but it's a little bit more laid back than that. And I got selected to go to a school where I was at for, 8 years, teaching everything health related. So from health to family living to, athletic training, I taught all of those classes, all different levels. And then it came a point, maybe a year or two after I started teaching there, I was like, you know what? I need to do something else. I need to go ahead and look towards the future. And my wife was a big supporter of mine, and she definitely pushed me to go ahead and do that. And my students actually was like, "Mr. Underwood, you'd be great. You'd be a great assistant principal. You should do it. You should do it." And so one of them actually wrote it on my board that I was going to be an assistant principal, and I left it up there for a long time.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
You had a fan club going on there.
Man, I'm telling you, I had a lot of support. And so that's when I jumped into UMGC, and that's how that got started. And there was some struggles when I was at UMGC because, I graduated. Undergrad was done in 2006, and now what is it? It's 2014 now. So it's been some time, and I told myself I was never going back to school, that whole deal and all of that. So
yeah, that's a 7-year gap, something like that, right?
Yeah. And so now I'm trying to get back in the groove, and I'm still trying to figure out, my teaching style, and I'm dealing with stuff at work, and I got young kids, and it was just a lot. But once I found my groove and I kind of got into it, and things started to come together, things started to continuously make sense, and I could kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so UMGC, honestly, it set me up big time for success. And I know I've said it before, and some people laugh at me when they see my commercial and stuff like that. They're like, "Man, you don't mean that." So I'm like, "No, I'm serious though." Like if I didn't go to UMGC, like I don't think I would be here. I don't think I'd be here right now. No, not at all. So but the thing is, I had to leave my county. I was in Prince George's County. I had to leave to kind of get my shot, but everything worked out fine. So I started out because where I'm at now, they have an intern program. So for up and coming assistant principals, they have an intern program. So I got into that, and that gave me a year of experience without having to be fully into the role. So that was real good. The only thing with that is it was that COVID year, so there were no kids in the building.
Okay.
Right. So I didn't really get the full effect of having kids in the building, and so I actually got promoted the year after that. And I'm like, man, can I get one more year to kind of see how things are going? But no, and things went well, man. My first day of school, when all the kids came back and we were back in person, my heart just beating out of my chest because I didn't know what to expect. This was a whole new, brand new for me. And so, but no, everything, it worked out great. And I had a great team. I had support yet again. My old kids were supporting me. The new kids are supporting me. I had people that I was a lucky one. I'm not gonna lie, I was a
Yeah.
lucky one. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. I've been blessed on this journey to have the support and people around me that I
Yeah.
have. Yeah,
Family. I mean, you
they
got
are.
your family, and you got your school
Hmm.
family, right? Where you
Yes,
where you work.
yes,
Um, the GC family.
yes,
We,
yes,
we're
yes.
we're we're happy, super happy you've gotten to be a part of your journey along that way as well. And
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
goodness, I mean, look how far that you've come. I mean, going back to when you were first starting out at UMGC, okay. Um, Talk about the challenge of what it was like to go back to school at the time. It had been, like we talked about, 7, 8 years
Yeah,
since you've gotten your
yes.
undergrad.
Right, right.
I know you said your students helped to inspire you.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe we could start there. Like they wrote on your board, but what is it that they saw? What is it that they saw? I don't hear that every day where students are pushing their teachers to do something like that, you know?
I don't, I don't know, man. I always pride myself, and I always have until this day, on building relationships with the kids. Because if you don't have the relationship with the kids, like it's going to be a long road. It's going to be a hard journey, and all you're going to be to them is a disciplinarian. That's all they're going to see you as. They're not going to see you as someone who actually cares. So they always saw me as someone that they could relate to, that they could talk to. Um, I always tell this story, and I told this recently to I think one of my teachers recently. Every year when I was teaching, the kids would write notes, or the school would have students write notes, things that they were thanking teachers for. And one young lady, she wrote a note to me, and it basically said, "Thank you for letting me be me. You let me be in class. You didn't force me to do anything I wasn't comfortable with. You didn't force me to be in groups. You let me be quiet. You let me be who I am. And that means the world to me." And it clicked, and it just connected for me because it makes sense because, even though I wasn't necessarily trying, like it was just something that came natural to just let the kids be them. Like I'm not forcing kids to get into groups or to do something they're not comfortable with because I know how I would feel. So let them be them. So I think that's kind of where it started. And I even had a young lady, she was real close to me. She said, "Miss Underwood," she said, my dad isn't in my life, but if I ever get married, I'm going to find you and I would like for you to walk me down the aisle. Like those were the type of relationships that I was building with my kids. And so for them to support me, it didn't really come as a shock to me because we just had that type of relationship. So, like I said, I was blessed to have that kind of support around. But I had the kids' backs. They knew that, and they had mine. And so that type of support just came real easy to me. Um, so yeah, that was I don't know, that was easy.
Yeah. So you're supercharged, with this
Yeah,
motivation and you've got this belief, right? That's coming from your students and family, right? So at this
yeah,
point, okay,
yeah,
I'm pumped. I'm gonna go back to school, right?
yeah. I'm
And
nervous.
a little nervous,
I'm real nervous.
I imagine. So
I'm real nervous.
what were you
Yeah.
nervous about?
Failing,
Huh.
failing. That's always a fear of mine, failing.
Yeah, yeah.
Had to learn that some of the greatest things are on the other side of fear. So once you get past the fear, then it's okay. And the worst thing that can happen is I fail and I have to try again. But it had been a long time since I had been in school. I was never the strongest writer. And so I'm like, I gotta go back. I gotta write papers. I gotta, be on top of it. Like I said, I got two small kids. I think at the time
Wow.
my daughter was 4, and then I had a newborn, and then also I'm teaching. And so, I need additional funds. And so I'm working on the weekends. And so there were times when I was taking classes that I was working 7 days a week and 3 jobs on the weekend.
No way.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but I have a book of positive quotations. And so
Okay.
with all these people that surround me and believe in me, there's a quote that says, it's disrespectful to quit when you have people that believe in you. And I always think about it. I can't quit because if I quit, it's like it's disrespectful to those who are believing in me and want me to get there and are willing to sacrifice with me and go through it with me. I can't give up. So it was just hard just going back to school and the timeline. I wasn't the best, at being organized. And like I said, at writing papers, and I don't know, it was just a struggle trying to go back and get my mind in, prepared for all of that. But I knew if I was going to be a vice principal, I had to go through this anyway. I was going to, have to write a lot. I was going to have to communicate a lot. I was going to have strict, deadlines and things like that. So I just had to push through it.
You, at that point, are looking for schools. All right. We got to be a part of your journey, enter UMGC, an honor, and a privilege. What made you choose us? It could have been any school, right? And you joined the UMGC family.
I don't know, man. Sometimes you just get a vibe, and sometimes you just get a vibe, and it doesn't. Sometimes when you even just seeing the name, and I know the name it was different back then, but when you see the name sometimes and you see where you are, and you look online and you look at the classes, and you look at the websites, and I didn't even really have to talk to anyone. Sometimes I follow energy, and I follow the vibes that I get, even from the smallest thing. Like I said, it could be from the website, something that I'm reading, or something that I'm looking at, or even a commercial that I'm seeing. Sometimes I get a vibe and I say, no, that just seems like me. That just seems better suited for me. So it didn't take me a lot of research and stuff and talking to 5 or 10 different. No, I didn't. I don't need it. I'm the same way when I shop. When I go to the mall, I know what I want. I'm going in there, I'm picking that shirt, and I'm leaving with that shirt, and that's all I'm going for. Like I'm easy pick. I'm easy when it comes to that. So that was the easy one.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're coming to UMGC. You had to face this fear of failure. Did that happen? Did your fears play out? Did you have to press through it? What did that look like?
Actually, I did pretty well. I think I think my first semester was the only semester I got a B. Everything else was an A minus, whatever the case may be. Yeah. And let me tell you, that was rare for me, because if we talk about my grades, we talked about failing 5 classes at one point, and then at undergrad, I had some struggles there that I don't want to talk about. That was rough too. That was even worse. But when I got there, things came together. And I tell kids, like, now I know, and I can tell other people, things always work itself out. As long as you put forth the effort, you believe, it'll work itself out. So I didn't have real academic struggles until it was one class that I figured, hey, I might need to give this one, I might need to withdraw and try this one at another time. And I think it was, I don't want to say the wrong class. I don't want to give it.
There's no pressure.
I don't want to give it a bad rap.
There's no pressure. We know it was that one class. It sounds like it's a little later in your program.
It was. But nonetheless, I failed my first 2 assignments.
Ooh, okay.
And once you get later in the program and online classes, you don't have many assignments to kind of make up for that. And I said, man, I failed my first 2. I said, nah. I said, I might need to withdraw. But I stuck it out, and I actually got an A in the class. So I had to put in some work. I put in some major work with that class.
That's a 180.
Yeah. But that professor really made me think differently about how I wrote. Like, that was the first professor, and I wish I could give her credit with her name. But she was the first one to really make me look at how I wrote and how many unnecessary words and punctuation and things like that. Like, she was on it. But that made me so much. That was the best class when it came to writing. That was the best one that I took out of my entire time. Easy.
What?
Easy.
Do you think it was lessons from classes just like that that helped you the most probably in your professional career, right? Because you've said that in the commercial that you mentioned that you did for us. Mm-hmm. Everybody, Cory did an awesome commercial for us. It was great. It was thank you. You killed it. But right. I mean, at one point, for folks that don't know, folks don't know this, that you were named Teacher of the Year, right? Which is great. I mean, you weren't just a teacher; you were an excellent teacher, a wonderful teacher.
Thank you. Yeah.
And you talked about how things like that wouldn't have happened, without UMGC. I'm wondering if it's for reasons like that. If you could, take the mic.
Man, it's 50-50. because it was a lot of what I learned. It was the content that I learned. I was so into the Web 2.0 tools and technology and things like that. I was trying to use technology that no one else was really using before it was a thing, before COVID hit. And now everyone's using the Nearpods and things like that.
Yeah.
I was already on that, but we didn't have the resources to do it because we didn't need everyone to have a laptop, at the time. So a lot of those things that I learned, and probably the most interesting class before I get to the other side of things, was global perspectives, because it made me think in such a broad way. I was so focused on what was local, competing locally, being better than this local school, but it got me to think not only countywide, but it got me thinking statewide and then nationwide and then globally. And it got me to really think about how to connect my class to the rest of the world. And that was mind blowing, because I never would have written a lesson plan that connected my class to a class in another country. I would have never thought it was even possible. And so, yeah, that was just the light switch definitely came on in those moments. But then there were also moments where it wasn't content related. It was me interacting with my group when we had a group project to do, and everyone having to do their part. And my part's done, and I say, hey, okay, I'm done my part, and everyone else has to work on something. But then they come back, oh, Cory, we need you to change your part. Huh? I'm like, like what? Like what are we doing? Or when you have the people who just go ghost, and how to navigate that and how to deal with that. But then you have professors who honestly, like, you can tell, even though it's over computer and it's virtual, you can tell how much they care and how much they're passionate about what they're doing. And it kind of just flows into, like, if you have that real passion and energy for doing it, like, it just flows into you. So that's how it happened for me. And so just dealing with different people, seeing where different people came from. And I'm not going to say that I keep in contact with people, but I don't forget the people that I interacted with, from my professors to my classmates. I don't forget some of those conversations or things that I've learned from them. So it was really 50-50, because the content was so much on point. Like, there was not a class I took where I was like, this is useless. I don't need this right now. I'm not learning anything from this. Like, every single class I took, as tech savvy and computer savvy as I was, there wasn't a class where I was like, I don't need this. Like, this isn't helping me at all. And then at the same time, there wasn't a class that I took where I wasn't able to take an experience from it based on my interactions with people, and things like that. So for me, 50-50, easy.
Did that help you with your fear of failure? I'm just curious. Even I'm thinking not just UMGC now, but also where you went for your undergrad, right? You, I know it wasn't a fun chapter, right? But getting your undergrad, look, I remember when I got my undergrad, it was like one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Okay? Yes, it was. Yeah.
And you can relate to that. But you talked about, obviously, just the energy. You're energized by what you were learning.
Mm-hmm.
You're energized with the people that became a part of your journey, not just your instructors, that's important, but also your fellow students. Is that good advice for people who are also afraid of the failure, to whether go to school or whether it be anything else? You mentioned the word flow, actually. I really like that. You found a flow. Passion started coming through.
Right.
And then it felt like it was curtains at that point.
Yeah.
Does that help get through that? Could you comment on that? Like, I'm just curious. Does that help with the failure? Fear?
It does, because you remember why you're doing it. And we ask teachers all the time, don't forget your why. Like, why are you doing it? Why do you wake up every day? Why do you stay up late lesson planning? What is your why? And so I just had to remember why I was doing this, what I set out to do in the beginning. And I'm not a quitter. I don't like to give up, even though times get really hard. They get really tough. And honestly, even talking to some people who may have been in my class, them talking about how they wanted to, like, give up or quit, I just listened to it. I was like, man, that sounds horrible. I'm like, I can't be one. I can't do that. Like, that can't be me. I can't be one that just wants to get like, no. So that also pushed me even more, like hearing other people talking about how they wanted to give up or how they were thinking about stopping and coming back later. I'm like, no. I can't do that. Like that's not in me. That's not how I'm built. I don't do that. So that actually just pushed me even more to stay focused, to stay on point, to grind it out, to ask for help, to get it done, and to just rise to the occasion and be better. Like I said in my commercial, I just want to be better. I wanted to show everyone that you can do this and you can be better. So yeah.
Huh. This makes me want to introduce you to someone I was talking to literally this week, right? With another, with another college that I get to do some outreach
Right.
with on their campus, and that's a guy, great guy, super smart,
Yeah.
philosophy major,
Okay.
He's thinking he may not move forward with his schooling, move forward with his classes anymore. And I was saying, "What's going on? You were doing so well. What's going on? Like, tell me." And he said, "I look at these assignments and I just look, and the one thing that comes across my mind is why? Why am I doing this?" And I was sad. This was on Wednesday.
Wow. Okay.
This was, in other words, it was this week.
Right.
And I was sad. I was sad because he had just he was pushed into a corner mentally where the motivation and the why was just not there, right? What do you say to someone? What do you say to him? What do you say to someone like that who doesn't seem like they have a way to find their why? And that could be whether it's school or it could be anything in life.
Sometimes it's difficult because as much as at times I want to push people, sometimes people know when it's too much. And I respect when people know this is too much right now and this might not be the time. I can respect that. But if you're going to stay in it, I just say push because you can do it. You've shown that you can do it because you're in this moment. You're in it. So you've shown that you can get here and you've proven why you deserve to be here. So keep going. Just like when I was in undergrad, after my first freshman semester, I actually got kicked out. I was on academic suspension. They told me, don't come back till you get your life together, basically. It was bad.
That's
What
real.
the thing was,
Yeah.
It was real. It was real when I had to tell my parents how real it was.
Yeah.
But it came to a point where, and I tell my students this, you're not doing this for anybody else except for yourself. When I got kicked out, I had a decision to make. Do I go home and I just, go work at the local store and try to make a life and a living and whatever? Or do I do this for me? Not for my parents, but do I do this for me? My parents always pushed me to go to school or to go to college, to do this or that. But what do I want? And if this is something that I want, nothing's going to get in my way, not even myself. I'm going to push through and I'm going to do it. And like I said, I'm going to ask for help and I'm going to pull resources and I'm going to get it done because I know at the end, when I make it to the end, I can say I did it. Whether I succeed or whether I crash and burn, it's going to be because I'm doing it. And so I would just say push through. It's always worth it in the end once you get to the end. And no one can take that away from you. It's like when you get that diploma, when you get that piece of paper, when you get that certificate, like no one can take that away from you. Like you went through it. And some people laugh at me because of what my GPA used to be. But I'm like, hey, that piece of paper don't have no GPA on it. Doesn't have a GPA on it, but I made it. And that's the important thing. You have to just push through and make it. And but again, I respect when people know when it's too much. I can respect that as well.
Yeah. You mentioned that you made it, and so this degree opened the door. Here you are now, vice principal. You're doing really well, and you're having an impact. I know you're having a big impact, role model wise, policy wise, you name it. What would your younger self now? I mean, I'm talking about ninth grade Cory.
Oh, please.
What would he say witnessing this now?
I'd probably faint. My ninth grade freshman self would probably faint. I would Wouldn't believe it. I still have friends that can't believe that I'm doing what I'm doing now. They can't believe it. They can't believe it. They can't believe it. But in a good way. They're like, and they tell me like, I'm proud of you. Like you did it. Like you made it. And because I was a piece of work, even with my dad being my principal, I was a piece of work. Me and my friends used to, man. But yeah. But my younger self would also tell myself that they're proud of me, for sure. For sure. They would give credit where credit was due and say, wow, you did it. Yeah. Yeah. Just plain and simple. I'm a simple guy. So just saying, man, proud of you. You did it. Yeah.
With all the encouragement that your family's given you along the way too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
from the get-go, your dad,
Mm-hmm.
your mom, I don't know how many
Everyone.
brothers or sisters you have,
Yep.
your
Two
wife.
brothers, grandparents,
Woo! Like you said, that
aunts,
whole
uncles.
village. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a big thing for me. Like I had to finish UMGC. I had to graduate while my grandparents could see it. Like I had to. That was one of my main goals. I had to, while they could be at graduation and they could see me do it, because like I said, no one thought I was going to finish undergrad. Like I was that kind of person. But so to go back to grad school and finish, like for my grandparents to see that, for my parents to see that, for my kids to see that, that was it. That was it. That was money. My wife could say that I did it, and she helped me through it, and she was there to support. I'm winning. I'm winning.
Wow. I mean, they believed in you, right?
Yep.
That's a big word in this case for you, man.
Yeah.
Believe. They're proud of you.
Hmm.
I mean, listening to you, I feel proud of you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
I can't help it,
I
like that's
appreciate that.
crazy. But you've made your village proud.
Yeah,
You've been a
yeah.
role
Thank you.
model. You're inspiration
Mhm.
to us. And look, with that, I want thank you. Just thank you for sharing your time,
No, man, thank you.
with
I
us.
appreciate being here. Yeah, I appreciate being here. And it hasn't always been perfect, but I just tell people, as long as you try to be better today than you were yesterday, you're moving in the right direction. So I'm trying to be better every day.
Cory, that's so good. Appreciate you. Thank you for spending time with us today, taking time out of that schedule of yours. Best
Yeah,
wishes,
absolutely,
to your
absolutely. Thank you
village, to your
for
family.
sure. Thank you.
Okay, tell them we said hello, and to everybody listening and to watching. I want to thank you for listening and for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe in order to see more unstoppable stories like Cory's, and we'll be sure to see you next time. Okay.